Let's turn that down just a little bit here. Seems like those might be a little loud. Let's do it. Alright. Thank you guys for joining me back here on the stream. Let me make sure that I have everything squared away, because I don't want to find out that I can't hear people or something again. That'd be very obnoxious. Let's see here. There's got to be a better way to get the chat here. We'll see. Did he the other day? I always forget. Dang, YouTube's setup is bonkers. Let's see here. Let's see if this will work. All right. Let's see how this goes. Sorry for all that noise. All right. Just waiting to see. I think I have live chat open, but you might need to send a message here so we can see if it's working. Ah, yes. Hello, hello. Okay. So, let's see here. For today, this evening, I want to run some logic for the planting. So, some things that I have changed since the last video were I've disabled the plow temporarily. Actually, we'll do this a different way so that way I don't block logic that I already have. We're going to go into our game scene, make sure that our player set. I think the first major thing I want to do here is turn off the player's bool for the drone instead. So we're going to go into drone, or rather the player, variables, upgrade, drone, set that to false. So now we won't have a drone while we run around. I will still have, because we're focusing on the farming now. So, okay. So the first thing we need to do in farming is add the plant. So let's work on that. Let's add a new object. Risk of rain. See, it looks weird, yeah. Right. Let's see here. We're gonna add. We'll do. Gonna call this onion for now. And then in the onion's behaviors, we want to give it Boyd's movement. We want this thing to move around quite a bit if we get close to it. We don't want it to rotate though. So now that I've got, let me know too if the music's too loud or anything, guys. Now that we've got the voids set, we can add in our animation, and the way that we're going to do the animation for the onion is, I think we're going to do separate stages actually. So I need to delete these. So basically for animation 0 will be stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4 for our onion. So our onion will grow 4 times. So add a copy of that to our thing. And we can name these actually. Let's do stage 1, stage 2. Which is kind of confusing actually, now that I'm thinking about it, because when I do the math, I won't be calling them by name. I'll be calling it by like a +1 to the animation tree. So I guess naming it doesn't really matter. Okay. So we have all of those stages, and then we're going to add another stage to the onion, and we're going to call it feral. And I'm going to do this for all of my plants, so I'll have a feral stage. That way I can just say, hey, everything in that group that has a feral stage, go to that stage. So feral is going to be the stage right before it pops out of the ground, so we can see its eyes. So I'm going to say okay there. I'm trying to decide if I want to use a void's movement. For now I do, but that's just in lieu of actually putting in some mechanics for the creature to move around, because I think what we want to do is like give it a finite state controller to control all of its so we're gonna we'll do enemy finite state machine, and that'll just be a string, and we'll call this one init because we want to initialize first, so when we debug we can see. We don't need to do directions or anything on that character quite yet, so I think enemy finite state machine, and that'll be fine for now. So now we have our onion, and we want that to be able to be placed in the farm plots that we have down here. We'll put that farm plots in the tile section. Make a folder for mobs real quick, or objects rather. Entities? Entity. I like entity better. We'll player entity onion. We'll go in a different section. We'll make growables. I think growables is an entity. Entity mob. Drone mob. And then put the player at that default level. Okay. So this is like effects. Effects. We'll put those in here too, and we'll grab the particles, the laser, and then this can be lighting. We'll do some with that later. Entity. All right, now that we have a little bit more organization there, we're going to create a new group, and we're going to call this plants. And inside of our plants, we're going to add the onion. And that way, when we start calling script things, we can call it from the the group. So let's see here. In the planting manager is where we're going to start. Let's take a gander here at. I believe the plant. We should run a check on on the ground. So for now, because we don't have an inventory, which I do need to do, I want to create a basic plant function. So for now, if the mouse button is pressed or held, touch is what we're looking for. Pressed or touched, there we go. Or touched, held down. So if we're holding down the left button and we're holding down the right button, because the and we can actually, now that I'm thinking about this, we can if the action selector is visible, let's see, visibility. Yeah, if it is visible and we press the left button, and we're on an animation tile for the color, that is, we're going to go to the animation and we're going to look for it by name. And if the animation is default, which is our basic grass in this case, let's see, if the color is default and actually we want this to be tile. So the tile's default on the very, because right now we have 3 layers. We have our plant farm, our color layer, which is our biome selector, and then our tile. But everything's based off of the tile's transparency. So if the tile's transparent, or if the tile is default, and then later on we can change this if we wanted to actually to be the plot that the drone creates. But so for now, if it is a default or blank tile, and the action marker as well is in collision with the tile, just to make sure it doesn't, like, because all of our tiles are on a grid, we want to make sure that might be redundant, so we might be able to change that later. So if that happens, and we should check for a state. If the tile state is in a trying to think here. If it is in a collision with a tile and the tile is set to default and the left mouse button is down, we need the action selector to be visible, and we can probably if the action sector is visible, the animation of the tile is a default, and we're not in collision with any of the other tiles. So now we can go to we can add blocking tiles. So because we're not doing we don't need to use the actual collision squares, we want to check for whether or not we're actually colliding with any of the, like, a blocking, something blocking. So we'll do a collision entities, or entity, I don't know, whatever. And in that, for now, we don't have any, so that's fine. Later on, if we have like an enemy, or actually we can put the player there. So the player, if you are standing there, you can't put something down. We'll do that for the testing purposes. So now back into our, we don't need the drone manager or the player's finite state machine. We need the world generator. Nope. We need planting manager. There we are. So if the action selector is not in collision with the group that is collision entity, then we want to trigger this while true. So while this isn't in collision, we want to make sure that it says isn't. This one, it was before as is. We want to create an object at the tile's center. So we'll go at the tile, create, well, I'm not creating, that's not what I want. I want an onion. What am I doing? Create an onion at the tile X position. Actually, we'll do point X and we'll do center. And we'll need to do that in quotes like this. Oh, tiles. Oh, we're gonna fix that real quick. Yeah, we're just gonna fix this. All we gotta do is change it. The whole system will automatically do it. If I was hand coding this, that would be so much more annoying. Tile point Y, and then also do center. So now, oh my goodness. Whoa. I don't want to enter voids. What are we doing here? Getting all crazy. All right. We want to create an onion at that location. Yeah, I mean, that's basically we would then start checking this against some other functions, but let's start there. So if we're on grass, whoa, where are they going? Whoa, where are they going? Why did that happen? Hold on. Wait, did I give the onions void movement? I did. I did do that because I was thinking about the mob while I was creating it. Like, I can already tell that's what happened. Yeah. Okay. All right. We're gonna delete that. There we go. Our plants tried to run away. Okay. So now, we're having a little bit of an issue here where our center on our center, why is it spawning way down there? Let's check our tiles and see where our center point is. Yeah, our center is right smack in the middle of that. So create an onion at the position. Oh, that's because our onion, we need to offset this, or address our onion. And I think the easiest way to do this is to edit our origin point, which is up here in the top left. We want to put it right underneath. So that way, it will spawn from that location in the ground. Didn't work. Why? It's a whole square, like, away. We need to move it diagonally. Why is that happening? This is madness. I guess what we could do is now I'm curious to why that's happening. Let me check. I think what I want to do, is change. I don't want to. Maybe I don't want to do this. Let's delete that and reset this to the top corner, and then instead we will, in our plant manager, change what we're spawning on. And I think we should spawn at the selector and make the center. We'll do it on the center point of the selector, because the selector snapping to a grid, and I'm wondering if, like, maybe the center because we're shifting everything in code when it's being placed for some reason. Maybe that's what's happening, or I'm talking completely through my head and don't know what's happening. So, oh, no, we have a 16 by 16 thing, right? So, oh, what if we do -8 in both directions? That should be center, now that I'm thinking about it. We run a 16 by 16 grid. Did that? No. Terrible. Well, okay. It's in the middle, but it's in the middle. No. No. No, that's not right. What? Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah, I don't know why I'm actually doing the tile. That doesn't make any sense at all. We want it to be the action selector. We want it to be, because the tile that it's on isn't being snapped to a grid. We just happen to have it on the grid, but the grid is relative to the player and not the screen. So we need to change this as well to action selector 8.8. And now that should put us, yeah, right in the middle. Okay. There we are. Sorry. I told you guys in the last episode, I'm not good at math, so sorry. Oh, and at the beginning of the scene, we need to, or not at the beginning of the scene, but every second that there are plants, we need to set the plants Z order. Ooh, Z order to a value of the player Z order minus 99, and that'll put it under the player at all times, but it'll make sure that we don't have that moment where it'll always be below the player. And the players decided that, like, from its Z order, the Z position on like the layers that it's on is always like everything's based on where the player is, and so we have kind of a fake depth based on the player's collision, which later it'll allow us to like move behind objects and move in front of them. It's something you have to do on in 2D if you want like fake depth to be able to, you know, stand behind objects, unless there's a masking system already built into your engine. And the player's in the way, so that's fine. I wish I might have to give my character a little bit more of a hitbox, just so, or move his origin a little bit, so that way it jumps down a little bit farther. I don't know how annoying it would be. Like I feel like I'm not in it, you know? So we might have to do some more collision checking on the player, reduce that range, but for now, I think that'll do. And we only want that to be on the plot tiles, or the farming plottable tiles. So now that we have at least an entity creator for our plants, we're going to go back into our player's finite state machine, where I have put if the drone is in a true state, it'll allow us to activate our drone. And so what I want to do now is change that if the tile, we don't actually want this to be a tile, instead we want this to be a farm plot. And if the farm plot, we're just going to check for collision with farm plot. So if the collision is farm plot, then we want to, and it's not in a collision with a collision entity. And now we want to make a collision entity, all of the plants. We can't, I have to add them individually. So we'll make the onion now something that is a collision entity, so we don't create multiple onions on top of each other. And now in here, we should be able to shoot the ground. Oh, I forgot to set the variable at the beginning. So in the game scene, Now that we have enough going on, it warrants creating a new event. And at all time, or as like a quick event, so again at the beginning of the scene, we can just add this. Oh, we did do this. We want to set the upgrades drone, not the plow, but the drone itself. We're going to set it to true. And now it should spawn us the drone. Hello. Set the boolean. Well, we're just going to grab this again. So set the player's bool. Add the upgrades unlockables drone. That's why. True. There. Now we have this. However, the action, we need the selector to be on top. That's, yeah, because now it's not checking quick collision because it's on top. So we are going to go to our player. And what we really need to do is remove the drone controls, the selector, and move it out of the player's handler. So we should probably do that now. Then we're going to copy this selector and we're going to create. We need to do that so that way we're not creating different selectors inside of different states. We just want one selector always. And so we want to go to our game, go to our entity our action selector. We're going to add a bool variable is visible and to true. False. We don't want it to be at the very beginning. So inside of here, we now want or inside of our finite player machine, if we want there to be an actions in the cutscene as well, so underneath the player controller, we can add it here. We're going to add a new event group. We're going to call this action selector. So if we're not in a cutscene and the player variable text, because we need to draw it for each player, but we don't want to do it on a global scale in our game because of how we're going to build the multiplayer. So we need to drone action selector. Make another player variable and we'll call it selector. And we'll move that up towards the top. Selector will be a bool. False. Okay, so now if at any point in time the player let's see, how do we want to toggle this? If okay, so if the right mouse button is down, we want to toggle the player's boolean for the selector to true. And if it's true, we handle that in our script that we need to make for the action selector. So we need to make a new this. I'm gonna do action selector. So now we can include, so if the text variable of the player's selector is set to, it's not a text variable, it's a Boolean. So if the Boolean variable is true, run the script. And we want this to be the action selector. Goodness, click the wrong button. Action selector. All right, so now we go into our action selector script and we take this and we move it into here. So if the action selector, so first and foremost, what we need to look at is we know it's going to be activated, right? So if it's true, if we turn this selector on, and if we turn on the selector and the selector's the player selector's variable, no, if we turn this on and the action selector's Boolean is visible, is false. So if it's not true, whenever we turn this on, we so at the if the Boolean variable of the object is false, do this. If it's true, do this. So we want to set, if this is false, hide the action selector, and if it's true, show it. And so when the player turns on their action selector, that'll be what the mouse clicks. So the selector is true, and if the button is released, the selector is false. And we should now be able to, so there we go. We got a little farming. Actually did that. Oh wait, hold on. Right. Okay. We haven't set where our plants spawn yet, or how they spawn. We want them to actually be 98. We're kind of going count down towards the player for depth, so we can see that there's a plant there, but it is not very visible. So I should probably find a way to up the contrast on that, or at least put it more properly in the middle. It's kind of hard to tell, so I can tell for now, but we know that this is, why is that not working? Sometimes they spawn and other times they don't. Is it because I'm too close? Yeah, it is. Okay. All right. So we have a farm system. So as it zaps, we're automatically building because it's doing it at the same time, not just once. So we only want to do this once. So trigger this one time. No, wait, hold on. In the finite players should show, if the selector is true, toggle it on. We're gonna get rid of that and get rid of that. So that's now in the action selector, snapping it to the player. Yeah. If it's true, so the action selector is now in its own place. We don't need to mess with the action selector anymore. Toggling it true and false based on the player's action selector. And we're not, I mean, that's all we need now in our player states. So we can go to our player's run state as well and take out that in the action selector and just add the action selector. So that should clean that up a little bit. There we go. And no, okay. Haven't had a weird hiccup there. Oh, and I guess no, that makes sense because if the action selector is not if the action selector is in collision with a farm plot and not in collision with a collision entity, trigger this one time, create a there we go. And so as long as I'm not in the way, that'll work. But we don't want that to happen as soon as we click, so we need to add some more variables to check whether the ground we just don't want it to continuously drag that laser. We just want it to fire at once. For that, we're gonna have to go mess in our controls with the drone controller. So let's go into our drone manager. And we want to toggle once. We want to hide that pixel trail. And then if we have the plow, if not just if we have the drone, but if we also have the plow upgrade, we'll call it plot instead for now. Plot, if the plot is true. Now we can go back into our game, keep it nice and organized, right? Go to our drone. No, our player. Variables. Drone, yes. Upgrades. The drone. Drone plot. So drone manager. If the unlockables drone plot, the drone weaponry plot is true, and the action selector you're gonna read if the mouse button left isn't down, I gotta address that real quick. Hold on. Unlockables, no, this is drone upgrades, drone plot. If that's true, I'm gonna hide that at the same time. So if this is true, we get our drone. And the actions of our drone are dictated on whether or not we actually have one. So that's important. If this is true, we want to add a new condition to just trigger that once. If it's true, trigger that once. and we want another condition, and we don't need that there. I don't know what happened there. It doesn't need to be tucked in underneath. All right, you're irritating me. What's going on here? No, take actions out. Delete that. All right. And then we also want at the beginning of scene. Beginning of the scene, hide that trail. And then if this is true, we can now do the rest of our actions. So inside of our actions, if, oops, there we go. Inside of our actions, if the plow action is enabled, now we can fine tune our action selector. So if we're going to do this little by little, just because we're fixing it. So now if we have the plot upgrade and we press the if we release the mouse button, then it won't create admissions, and that's what we have, which is what the like laser smoke is. And so we'll move down the list. So basically, every time we let go, we want to stop and hide, because we are toggling the pixel trail back on and off. And so now we have this, which is when the drone is set to when the left click button is down, the action selector is visible, so we then know that the right click is already held down. So this is the if left button is pressed while the action selector is visible. And we can actually change this to fit the player or action selector and do the boolean instead, just in case. We just want to handle this on a variable level. If it is visible, it just looks a little bit cleaner. And the left mouse button is down. Then we want to trigger the laser to happen. So at the center of the trail, whenever that happens and these circumstances are true, we want to change the position, show the trail, and start that emission. We could put it up there, but I'm just going to try to keep it a little bit more organized. So hello, where'd my game go? Oh, well, here it is, but let's try this again. There we go. All right, so right now, we're not getting any smoke because even though it is starting, we're not toggling anything to be seen. So we want to add this up there, beginning of the scene, stop those things. And if this is true, I think we actually do need it in there. It's looking for the action selector center. And then when it does do that, we want it to cast and then draw that selector. So, oops, I didn't need it. I don't know why I drug that in there. Okay, not quite. What am I seeing? What am I missing here? If the left button is down, we don't want to do any of the farming stuff yet. So first, if the boolean is true, first of all, okay, first of all, that's not set. So yeah, that it won't matter what I have that set to, if I don't have that boolean set to true as well. Okay, well now we know it's at least on. Close. Plot for now. Oops, plosive right in the mic. My bad, guys. So if the upgrades drone plot is true, I'm missing something. Is it because of this? Well, let me just remove that real quick. Okay. Okay. So that... Oh. Okay, that would probably be why. If it is visible. Did we not set it in the... Or did I not... I'm like... It's your fault, guys. You did this to me. No, set the selector to true and set the action selector is visible to true, and do that to here as well. Okay, that's working. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, so now we have this basic function going on where we can now target, move our ship around, let go, and he'll rip. Our ship won't follow us anymore. Why did that happen? There we go. There we are. Fixed it. So now I kind of like this. So like you can kind of, if you, it's just gonna add a little bit of dynamicness to it. No matter where you are, this drone will shoot. And so even if he's way over there, he'll shoot. But as he shoots, he kind of moves towards it. And if you hold it down, eventually the drone just kind of flies and centers itself, kind of with the Boyd movement, which eventually I'm not going to use Boyd, and instead I'm going to use a force direction. But for now, it just does work. So if the left button is down, in this case, if the left button is not down, and the selector is false, come back to the player. This should be happening all the time. If it's true. So if it's held down. Oh. Right. We need to now set it. When we right clicked it, we need to turn it off. We need to turn off the visibility. Or at least toggle it inside the script. Right. So when the we need to set the bool for the action selector to false. So now, when we let go, it didn't work. Why didn't that work? Oh, because I didn't actually set it. What am I doing? Right here. Put it in the wrong section. Let's find out. Do we need to restart it? Whoa. It's not going away. When the left mouse button has been released, do that. And when the selector is false, set I just had it. When the selector is false, when it is visible, do this. When the left mouse button is down and it's visible, show true. When the left button is not down and the object when the left mouse button isn't down, then we need to set the selector to false. So when it's not being held down, set the selector's visibility bool to false. I'm starting to wonder if it would have been easier to just use the actual show and hide. Okay, but we don't want to add what? Add bool variable. No, change bool variable to false. I'm not sure exactly what's happening here. What am I doing wrong here? When left mouse button isn't down, when it's not being touched, follow the player. When it is being touched, do the laser beam. Pew, pew, pew. Okay. It's good. Okay, but when right click is pressed, when right click is released, we need to also toggle the visibility of the selector to off. Toggle this. Toggle the player selector to be off. That's what I was. I don't know why I did it this way. I might need to address that. Selector is false. Let me turn the state on and off. What? Get out of here. When left button is released. Oh, that's because that's left button. We're not. When the right button is released, and that should be in here. I thought we already set that, didn't we? When the right mouse button is released, set the visibility to false. Yeah, that's not working. Okay, so if left mouse button is down, then we'd set it to true. If the right mouse button is released, we set it to false. If in the drone, if the visibility is set to false, if the visibility is of this is set to false, then we need to set the selector state to false. Why is that? What have I done? What is that? Why is that not hiding? Oh, because when the action selector is true, we're showing. My brain hurts. My brain hurts. I need to go through this. Let's stop the press. Stop the press. Let's think about this. So this is really simple. So when the selector is true, so write down. So here we're saying when the selector is true in the player. When we set this to true, we're gonna do something, and then in the drone manager, or in the we want to set that back. When having the time of my life right here. Let's see. When I'm having a brain aneurysm here. We moved the selector out into the finite state machine of the player, didn't we? Yes. Okay, when the action bar. No, that's what I just was. What the heck? So when this is true. Game scene? Where did I put it? I don't even know what I'm looking for anymore. Oh, what the heck? Oh, it's down here. There it is. So when the selector is true, run this action selector. So when the selector is true, run the action selector. When the action selector is running, that is funny because it'll only work at this level. So we need to actually extract this and add some of that down here. So when the selector state is true, we're just gonna show, we're gonna change this. We're just gonna show the action selector. And then when the action selector is false, we're gonna hide it. And then we don't need to run anything when it's false because we can't do anything with the action selector when it's false. So now we should, have our thing back. So now, when we click, we've got this little doodad working for us. Yeah. All right. It's a little wacky, but it's working. Okay, so now in the animation selector, that has one job to do, and it's just to snap that stuff together. So in the drone, when the we're gonna pretend like we don't even, in fact, rather than pretending, I'm just going to remove it from the action selector. We don't need this variable. This is visible is just giving me a huge headache. So now when the left mouse button is down and we have the plot upgrade, this is when we have the plot upgrade, and this will initiate as long as the selector is true. So we want to set that. So we want to say when the player's bool value for the selector is true, and the left mouse button is held down, change this pixel particle creator. And I think we can actually put that down here. I think this is probably where it should be. Yeah. So now, when we're in collision with this, do the thing, right? We're seeing though that our action selector is now not being drawn on the right level. We need to make sure that our action selector is always at the top, and I think that was one of the things I went to go do a little while ago, and then got distracted. So in here, in our selector, we want to set this thing to like right underneath the player. So the player minus 1. And we want to also make sure that while we're doing the plot, that if the selector is true, the left mouse button is down, and the selector isn't in collision with any of the collision entities, then plant a seed. And that way, stand here, it won't plant. I don't want it to plant when I'm standing on it. I don't care if it shoots it, but I just don't want it to plant when I'm standing on it, just in case. And then, so it's doing that. When its left mouse is released, I think we can hide that in there as well. Nope. We want that to always be true. So when the left mouse, when the selector is, the selector is false, stop that from happening. Oh no, when the selector is false, hide that stuff for sure. But when the selector is false and the drone isn't attacking, isn't attacking. So now we need to start setting up the logic for when it's shooting the laser. So if the left button mouse is down and it's not in collision with a collision entity, then we want it to not only trigger once, for now, we want it to trigger once while true, but we also want to set its set it to fire, like to trigger an event like it's attacking. So mob, we'll do drone, attack. So when left mouse button is down and the selector is true and we're not in collision with anything, shoot a laser. Let's shoot a laser. Pew, 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 pew. I understand that I'm standing in the way, but why aren't you shooting? Mr. Hello. Oh, it's because it only happens once. Right. That's my own doing. So we want it to. We want the robot to mine. So I think we're gonna start working on some timing logic, and do like attacks per tick. So while left down is being held, that's when we want to show and hide. But that's interesting. Oh, did I say when I am in collision? Yeah, when I'm not in collision. First of all, when I'm not in collision and it's down, do it. When left mouse button isn't down, then hide the trail. Right? It's not. We only want it when left button is down. Cast array and show the particles to start the emissions while we're doing that. Okay. So draw to the mob and show and do this, right? When the selector is false, when left mouse isn't down, just hide that. Or when it is down, right? So if it's not being held down, make sure it's not being seen. Okay, so now we have it's shooting again like it was supposed to. And we can set our movement logic back, go check out our drone, who's working now as he should be, right? Make sure I'm not standing in the way. Now we need it to that's interesting. I'm gonna have to work on this grid to make sure that the player isn't causing that kerfuffle, but we'll fine tune that later. So now we have if the button is being held down, do this stuff. And so we want the plot to attack like right after. So we can say actually that while it's true and the left button is down, and we're not in collision, then the attack of the drone we can add one to the drone. Attacking is true. So if the value of attacking of the drone mob is it said it's true. And then we can say while it's true, show that. I think that's what. There we go. So all I've done there is just kind of reorganize it a little bit. So, but now we're setting the attacking value to true. And we can kind of now tell there's no laser. So if we're not in collision, I also wanted to stop if we're gonna do another thing up here. So every time the action selector is in collision with a collision entity, don't let there be a emission. So now it'll stop it, all of it there. That's what we wanted. Okay, so now we can do that. When the left button isn't down, make sure we hide the trail, and also set attacking to false. So now if we're attacking, we want to trigger once while true. So now we can go plot. Let's create a new event. And we're going to call it attacking. Attacking and mining. Okay. So when we are attacking, when the drone boolean is attacking, trigger, we want to start a timer. And then if we're every second that we're in the timer, do 1 tick of damage, like a hit. So in a way, it'll be kind of like Minecraft. Like Minecraft is a continual hit. So like as you punch something, each punch isn't necessarily a hit. Maybe it is in Minecraft, but effectively, as you're holding down the button, right, it's just animating the punching, but it's doing ticks worth of damage. And that's why we see like the crust change, like after X amount of hits, like show this after this. And that's what we're kind of doing with the laser. So while we see that it's not in collision, while it's in, it's in not in with a collision entity, we can see that the smoke or whatever we want to set. So when it's true, for now, we're just going to leave that because I do want to add the ticking, but I think that we want to get our plot setting down. So if attacking is true, so we can do that here as well. So if attacking is true though, and let's turn this back alive. So if attacking is true and the left mouse button is down and the center is inside of a color, and in this case all of our colors are going to, or the tiles are going to be mineable into farmland. So if we have all of that, we would then want to undo this. So if it is inside of farm plot, don't do anything. Don't change it. Don't do anything. If otherwise, create one of the two farm plots. And there we go. We have a slightly different variation going on here, and we're seeing that he's not attacking. It seems to, yeah, it's generating more than one, and it's because we're not telling it to generate just one. So do this only one time. So we want to add the while true. So while it's true, do this one time. Do this once. And now, uh-oh. Some of these aren't building plots, and I'm not sure why. That's because I'm standing in the way, I believe. No? No? Well, Houston, we have a problem. I think we need to go now into our farming script and adjust some of the plot manager stuff. So if the action selector is visible, which if in this case, if the Boolean variable for the player, if the selector variable is true, and left mouse button is down, and the selector is in collision with a farming plot. So if the selector is true and the drone is attacking, then check to see if the collision is in a farm plot. And if it is, trigger this true once, as long as it's not in collision with a collision entity. Create an onion. So now it says that, I mean, according to this, right, for there to be an onion there, it needs to not be in collision with a collision entity, and it has to be in collision with the farm plot. Let's try this again. That doesn't make sense. Okay. So we're creating an onion, and the onion is, we'll just say it's -2, just for convenience sake. We'll raise the plants up, and then the farming plots, need to also make sure that they're being set. And I don't know that I am. I don't think so. So why don't we go into here, add a new Z order for the farm plot, and we'll set that to under the player by 98. And that should solve that problem, because I think it is making, no, what the heck? Okay, so is in collision. You know what I think is happening? And I think we need to do a collision, a point checker. So if the farm plot, if the action selector center, so point center, the point X center and the point Y center, then trigger this. And that way, okay. So it has to do with the creation of these farm plots, I'm pretty sure. Okay, what is happening? So the planting manager isn't what we need to do, it's in the drone manager. So if the drone is attacking, left mouse is down. So this is just the, okay, so we can't do anything here, right? Because this would be like mining, right? So this is like our mining state. So when we're holding this down, we're mining. If the attack is true, we already know that left mouse button is being held down, so we don't need that. And as long as the selector is inside of a color, the center point is inside of a color, randomize it, and create a farm plot between 1 and 2. Oh, it's okay. All right. Oh, we just want that to happen one time. Just please. Let's bring back. Oh, what happened? Let's bring back our other option here, and I realized that there's an option for it not to spawn. So there's not going to be that option anymore. And we just want it to happen one time. And I'm looking at these, and they seem to... Oh, it's just that? Okay. Weird. All right. There we go. Now I got plants that are planting in rows. So, now we want to... Now they got our plants being plantable. I don't want them to immediately plant my seeds, right? But we only have one seed currently, and I don't have it like set up. Like, it'll check your inventory before you actually create something, and so defaultly, you'll have to like switch to the plow tool, and then you'll be able to do the farming. But for now, this is fine. We just want to get a simple test rolling. And inside of the plant manager, now that we have the plot manager, we want the plant growth system. In the plant growth system, while we are doing this, that's not what I wanted. So while we are in our preview mode, so while preview is running in our game, and the E key, so keyboard pressed E, then I want to trigger once, so once while true, and then we can now go into our logic here, and it's really pretty straightforward. So for each plant, for each instance of plant, change, we need to add growth to our onion, so a variable called growth. Growth. We're going to change the variable. So variable, change the text variable. It's a number variable of plants growth set to, and we're going to add random in range 0, 2. So unlike we always want there to be, when we're in the farming tools, when we hit the ground to create with the laser using the farming plot, in this case we want that there's a chance that the plants won't grow when you go to bed, or when that stage changes. And then in the event group, we want to create plant animation changes. So now this is what happens when in the different plant growth stages. So when the variable, when the text variable of plant, when the number variable of plant is equal to, and the variable's growth. So while growth is equal to 2, we want change the animation of plant. So animation. And we're going to set that animation by number. And this is what I was saying earlier. We're going to set it to animation 1, which in an array is 0, 1, 2. And so because it's always encoding, you start with you start from 0. So we want to go that, and then at 4 we want to go to stage 2, which is technically stage 3. At stage 6, let's say, for the onion is very simple. 2, 2, 4, 6. We're going to go into stage 3. And then we want to add another variable to our onion, and this will be on all plants in the future. So we want growth to be a number. We're going to set growth to 0. And we're going to set max growth as well. Max growth. And we want that to be there. And we want how many stages, right? What's the max growth that this plant can have? And in this case, we're going to do 10. So our max growth is at 10. And so when we hit our max growth stage in our plant manager, we want, so we can say when we are equal to, greater than, or equal to our plant manager, our maximum growth, our plants dot max growth. If we're greater than or equal to our max growth, then we want to change the animation by name equal to feral. So if it has a feral stage and we reach that point, we can do that. And then we can do 8 here, and then say if the plant is there, go there. So for now, that'll work. And we don't have an 8th stage here. And we'll say if there's a growth, if the growth of the plant is equal to 8, this will change if it's to 8 and it's not equal to the max growth. So, and then we'll say if it's not greater than or equal to the max growth. And then we will do that for each. So like 10. And here, this gives us the option effectively, like if we have more stages, it'll check to see, do we jump to feral stage or do we jump to the next stage in our plant? And in this case, because we would hit it'll be greater than or equal to our max growth, it won't change because this will take over. So now we've got excellent. Okay, so no real changes there, obviously. We just want our plant to now grow. So let's check it. Okay, we got our plants growing at different stages, and then there he hit his feral stage. So let's do that again. So we can see our plants growing. And now when we're in this stage, I want to be able to shoot that onion with our character to just like smack it. But I think what I want to have happen is the selector when we're within, if so, in our player manager, max growth. We want to do max growth +1. If we're ever at our max growth, if we are equal to our max growth, then we want to add another variable to our onion, and there subsequently all of our plants, if we have a harvestable stage. Harvestable. And that we can honestly just be a bool. So if it's harvestable, and we can check that by doing the total animations -1. So if we are at our plants dot harvestable stage, if we're equal to, if we are greater than or equal to our harvestable stage, that's not how we want to do it. We want to say if the plant's animation animation by number, and it's the end animation, so animation index, so animation dot index, I think. So if the animation is equal to plants dot animation index, no, plants subject doesn't exist. Animations of plant equal to the animation, there we go, the animation index -1, the plant is now harvestable. So if the growth variable is less than or equal to our max growth, and our plant, the number of animation of our plants is our index -1, so always at the end we'll always have a feral stage. So at the end of that, we'll set our plant to harvestable, and we'll just do that up here. So we'll change our plant, the boolean for harvestable, change the boolean harvestable true. I think I maybe messed something up when I was setting the variable. Harvestable. It starts off as false. So when we reach the end of our animations and it's less than our max growth, then it becomes harvestable. And now we can create in our plot manager. And normally, so in our growth cycle, this will be a day and night cycle, but for now we'll be able to force it. So now after our growth, we need all right. Let's see here, harvest. So when we're in the harvest state, so when the harvest state is true, when the plant's bool state variable harvest is true, So when harvestable is true, and we are in when the plant range distance, and the distance between the player and it is within, let's say, 10 pixels. So if our player is, if the harvestable is true and the plant is within 10 distance, we want to set the player selector to true, and we're going to snap the selector to the plant. So we're going to say if the player's bool, no, not add change, if the bool value of selector is true, or set it to true. And once we do that, we want to once while true, so while true, we're gonna move. I guess, you know, we honestly we don't need to. We're just gonna constantly move that. So we're gonna move the selector, and we're going to position it on the plant X, plant Y. Let's see what we can do about that. See how that works. So now that I got the game, okay, let's restart it. So let's say we get our guy, and he is in a harvestable stage, which should be right here. Let's check it in the debugger. Let's start the preview with the debugger on. So we need to close it and restart it. Now we're going to save too, so I don't forget. Don't want to lose any progress. And we're going to reset. So if we're harvestable, the selector should be true. It's not, is below, let's say, for now we'll do 20. So if the distance is below 20 and the plant is harvestable, turn on the selector, and if the selector is and we got rid of the is visible, didn't we? It doesn't have that anymore, I don't think. I'm pretty sure we got rid of that is visible crap. Yeah. So going back here, if during the normal circumstances, we wouldn't be able to see it, and we want to make sure that the selector's on. So I guess in the planting, just to test to make sure that there's not some other issue going on here, let's move those together and see what happens. We should be seeing this, but we're not. And it might be because I'm, you know, crazy and don't know what I'm doing. But we need to run this in the debugger so I can see whether or not these are entering their harvestable state. So that one should be in its harvestable state. So we can now go to our settings, refresh, go to our onion. We're going to look at both our onions, and we're seeing that neither of them are harvestable. So my logic was unsound in the animations. So if is less than or equal to, less than or equal to index number 1, and it's less than, wait, if the number of the animation of plants is equal to the plant's animation minus 1, the index minus 1, is less than or equal to, we'll just say if it does not equal the index, the end, if it is not the end, and it's less than or equal to the max growth, I guess we could change all of that to just say at, let's say at 6, if it's an onion, we're gonna change the bool variable of harvestable to true. I might just do that for plants for now. Make sure, actually I think that might be the problem. So we're gonna restart that, see what happens. Whoa. Okay, we need to launch this with the debugger again and take a look and see what's happening. So in this case, it should be selecting. But we want to first see if the onion's actually turning into harvestable. So is it harvestable? Or any of these harvestable? No. I guess we could say if the growth is equal to harvestable, if growth is equal to harvestable, and then we can change harvestable from a boolean into a number. So on this, we're going to say harvestable at 6. So now if we get to plants dot harvestable, if it is equal to that, then we want to toggle the harvestable feature. So then we're going to go to our onion, and then we're going to say plants boolean. That's not a boolean. Okay, we want harvestable to still be a boolean. We just need to add we'll say harvestable and then harvest stage, and we'll say that's a boolean, and that'll be false at the start. If we reach that stage, if the growth equals harvestable, then change the plant's boolean of harvest stage to true. That's harvest stage. Right? Did I do that right? I think so. Harvest stage. False. We're gonna set it to true. For each instance of plant that reaches a harvestable stage, make it true. Okay. So now, right, we wanna, oh, there we go. Wait. What happened? Okay. So we're having some glitching. I think it's with this because we don't want it to say harvestable. We want to say harvest stage. So if they're in the harvest state, and then we want to set that constantly. So let's do this. It's not, selector isn't going to the object. It's only doing it once. And we need to do well, true. This is always true. So for each instance of plants, we actually want to pull this out, I believe, because we're talking about all plants, right? So, well, that skipped entirely. Let's see if we can get our harvestable. So, okay. Point X center and point X or point Y center, I think is what we need to do. And this will give us kind of that forager. Come on, game. Okay. All right. Excellent. I think. And we'll say while we're within, I think before it was 20 pixels, we'll do 32. If we're in a range of 32 around this thing, we want it to select it. And when it's in feral stage, we also want to make it so it's not harvestable anymore. So now when it is in this stage, we'll say false. And if we are at the harvestable stage and we're not below 32, then the selector needs to be false. So that should, I believe, let us target this thing within 32, and then as we go away, it goes away. So when it is harvestable, we want to be able to touch a button and harvest it, right? And so what I want is when it is harvestable to have like an E button or a new action keyboard button to press. We're going to set the selector, and then we're also going to add another selector. We're going to have a plant selected option. So if it's selected, yay, me selected. It'll allow us to make sure we're only hitting that selected piece. And also I can say, if you are selected, while it's selected, do this animation between this E thing, right? So for each plant that has that, that's what we want to do. I do wonder, because of how I've coded this though, what happens? Hello. I can only snap it to this. Okay, so it won't let me do anything else. So what we want to do is say while the harvest stage is true and we are below we'll say 12 now, And the plow button isn't being held down. So, and as the we don't even have to, actually, we don't want to toggle the selector because that's the player's thing. We want to actually, we're just going to create a new object, a new selector at the plant's point X center and the point Y center. Point. Oh, I forgot the end quote on both of them. So when I'm no longer in there, so create that. And when I'm no longer there, delete it. Destroy. So when I'm no longer between 12 pixels, destroy it. But that leaves me with this nonsense. Great. Now, no, okay. So if it's true, change the selector. And we just want to show the selector. So we'll just say that it's show it. So show the selector if it's 12 and change the position to it. And if we're no longer within 12, then hide it. As long as the selector, the player's selector, so the player bool for the selector is false. So if the boolean, if the selector's off and the harvestable stage is true and we're no longer there, hide the fucking thing. Ugh, terrible plant. There we go. There we are. Excellent. So now I can do that. And if I stand on it, it'll automatically select it. So now that we can come up to it. And then as long as we're auto-clicked, right? Now we can do an action. Hello? And does not equal max growth. Or and is less than or equal to max growth. There. That should stop that from happening. Dang. I got robbed. All right. Let's see if we can get these. There we go. These are not in the harvestable stage. Why? Wait. We gotta do another for each instance of plant. So for each instance of plant that is true, and then if we're no longer near it, hide it. I think this is what we're messing with that stuff. What? That's not harvestable? What are you talking about? Oh. Well, we want to show it and we want to center it. Center the position to the plants point X center, and then points Y center. So while we're doing that, that's important. That should help us. There we go. So now that we're there, and that shouldn't be the case. So let's look at our debugger again and find out why that plant is being selectable. So that is selected, that's selected. Now we shouldn't be able to select this guy. So let's find out what's happening. So this onion is, all three of them are set to true. And if its growth is greater than the harvestable, or is less, is, all right. Okay, so if the plant, the growth stage is equal to harvestable, is greater than or equal to harvestable, but less than or equal to max growth, then the stage is true. If it is greater than or equal to max growth plus 1, turn that off. So now, when we come back, that shouldn't be the case. Why? Why, oh why are you doing this? Maybe we'll just restart it, check it out again. So, there we go. Can select it, good. Perfect. Now we can't. Now we can shoot it, right? So now this is where it become an enemy. So let's see here. We don't want that. Why can I? Okay, you guys, I can't. How come? Okay, if our plant is greater than harvestable, but is not, and is not equal to, is not greater than or equal to max growth, then it's true. I think that's right. Aha. I think we fixed it. Let's go check. Okay. Good. Good. There we are. So now we have a growth system. Okay. That was time consuming, but now we got it. So now that we got the growth working, we want to, and now we have harvest is an option. And now we want to do item drop. So when the creature is dead, or when the plant is harvested, so when we press the harvest key, and now we need to make the harvest key. So when you go back to our game scene, go into our scene properties, add a new value. Are they globals? Oh, they're globals, right? So we have to go to our global values. So we're gonna call a new one, keyboard harvest, and we're gonna change this to E, and we're gonna do gamepad harvest, and we're gonna call this X game. I don't know what to call this. I have to go look up. I think it's like controller button X. Button X. We'll take a look at it here in a little bit. But for now, we want to make sure that it's working on PC. So we're going to change our plant growth key to, we'll do T for time. And E is now our harvest key. So if the plant, so for each instance of the plant that is harvestable, we're going to change that, and we're going to show the E. So I think the best way to do that is for us to add a new object. We're going to call it sprite. It's going to be E, or action UI button, action harvestable, no, interaction button. We're going to add a sprite from the asset store, and we'll just find a E keyboard. We'll just do keyboard. No? Okay, there we go. Keyboard. It's not the greatest, but no, we got white keys. That's better. We'll do E. We'll bring that interaction button in. Holy moly, those are huge. Let's do 16 by 16. There we are. Okay, and we're going to give the interaction button the tweening. We're going to tween that sucker. And while we're in a harvestable state, we want to show, we want the E to be seen. E, visible is show. And we want to make sure that somewhere in here we are going to hide the hide. So at the start of the game, we're going to hide the E. We don't want to see it. We do want to see it, and when we are within range, and we want to move that of the interaction button to the plant center +8. Actually, we want to keep it on the x-axis, and we want to raise it on the y-axis. So we'll do +8, and then we'll go check it out. So while we have a plant that is time harvestable, okay, and I need to do it the other way, and we also want it to be minus. So let's do -12 because we have a 16 tile. This would be like right above it. So let's do the time. Boom. And now we also now need to hide the interaction icon when we're no longer near it. So here we go. Time. Oh, no, that's, we have a weird situation here with this guy. That shouldn't have happened, right? Okay, but why are we not hiding this? This should be hiding. If the selector is false and the harvest is true, then do that. Let's try this again. Time. We should be harvestable. That is weird. Why is that not happening? It should be hiding. Right? When the selector is false and the distance to is not below 12, so anything above 12, it should be hiding. Maybe I just need to like okay, we skipped that stage. That's kind of obnoxious. Try this again. Okay, so we're having if the selector is false, if the harvest stage is false and we are we don't need that, right? So if it is not harvestable anymore, we don't want to see that shit. So there we go. Wait, is that a y-axis thing? Does the E need a Z order? Let's see, the interaction button is at the Z order of the plants. Plants to Z order +1. So we want the button always above the plants. So let's try this again. Okay. That's so annoying. Why are you there, E? Why are you not hiding? I guess we actually don't need that underneath the other one, do we? This is a more of a bigger statement, isn't it? There we are. Oh, you are the worst. Why are you not hiding? It should be showing and it should be hiding if it's not in the harvestable stage anymore and one of these are true, right? So if we are below or aren't, I guess it doesn't really matter, but that's redundant. I just don't know what's going on, why it's not triggering. It's acting like it's triggering once. Wait a minute. No, this should be. However, we want harvestable to be always. We don't want that to be when we're in the game editor. So we'll change that to. Okay. Harvestable. You should be harvestable. You are. You should not be harvestable. Why are you showing up as being harvestable? And now I can't even bring out my selector. That's silly. Okay. If the harvestable stage is passed, All right, here we go again. Random. Oh, you bastards. All right. Why? That should not be seen. I don't understand. Okay. We're gonna just like do this. I don't understand. So if the harvestable stage, if we're within that section, I guess we have to do another for each plant that is false. We want to hide. If it's no longer true, we want to hide both of these. I, for the life of me, cannot. What happened here? Time. Okay. Okay. But also for each instant of the plant that we are not, as well, then we need to also hide the action button, I think. Okay. It's weird that the action button is queuing first. So I guess if the that's so weird. Okay, that's fine though. I just think that's really interesting. And we'll say 16 in this case. For the player's distance to the plants. So now we should get a selector, and as we get closer, we'll get the E, and we will add the E, whatever the interaction button is, to that. Okay. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm getting a little tired. Cool. And I honestly think that we need to push this up a little bit more. We're gonna go to 14 now. Actually, we'll just do a full 16 right above. Oh, that's way too far. 16 above the plant when it's made. So let's do that. Check our plants, and as we approach, we see that we have the action button. And I actually want the action button to be above the player, because we want it to stand out no matter where we are. So we're going to do that. So let's see here. Perfect. That is goofy. That shouldn't be it. Oh, that one's... Oh. Uh-oh. What have I done? What have I done? Okay. Let's try this. Good. Let's see if we can time it out. Okay. That's seemingly functioning. All right. Oh, wait. Um, I'm dying here. What's going on? Oof. Well, the plant. Well, okay. First of all, if the plant stage is false, if the harvest stage is false, then it doesn't matter. Hide that. Why are we having such what? Okay. Maybe it was just me having a moment. Okay, we didn't get one on that plant. We don't want it to hide the action selector. We just want it to hide the action icon. Okay, so let's do this again. And it's not bringing us back the... and it's selecting it, which is important, but we're not getting the E. Because something's happening. If the plant is not harvestable, hide that thing. I'm having a hard time understanding why it's having such a hard time hiding and showing the E. And the visibility of E of this. I think it's just because I'm getting tired. If for each plant that is set to false and the interaction button is visible, turn it to false. I think we're just gonna restart everything. I'm having brain difficulties now. Okay, that didn't work. If player's distance is not, we're gonna copy this. If the player's distance is not, and this is visible, hide that. And also for each set, if it's not harvestable, hide it as well. I think it's because for each instance we're resetting that value. I hate the E. I hate the E. For now, we're just going to demolish the E. We'll add E back later when I can think more clearly. Okay. For now, we get this. And so if the selector, if we want to set for each instance of plant, we want to say that it's targeted. So we want to then also bool change on the onion. We're going to say the finite state machine, it's not an enemy yet, so we don't need an enemy. We can change this to is targeted. If it is targeted, if it is a bool and so it's off, we can say that okay, maybe we'll change this up. So if it is and the player is within range, we're going to set it to the plant bool to is targeted true. Let me just make sure that that's the is targeted. Capital I. Okay. I don't know if it'll actually matter right now, but so if the plant, we're going to set it to is targeted to be true. And then for each plant that is targeted, for each plant that is targeted, show the action cursor. Just kind of clean it up a little bit, right? And I don't know if we need to for each instance of plant, so that way it can happen. I don't know that it's necessary. Okay. For each instance of plant is true, and the player I think we can actually do this way. This target is true. Just trying to clean it up a little bit so I can like see the progression. So we want to make sure that this works. Okay, yeah. That looks to be working. Let's make sure and just reboot it up here and run the script. Okay. That's no longer targetable. Interesting. I also just realized, so if our plant is harvestable, we want to set the animation to the plant's number, that is the plants dot harvestable animation. So if we animate to 6, we want to set the growth. We set the animation to harvestable, which is growth setting 6, which is plant 3, if I remember right. So let's try this. Okay. And now we shouldn't have any more of those weird hiccups where the animation isn't quite right. Perfect. So harvest. When it's in the feral stage, we want to add a new setting. So when we're in the feral stage, we want to set our harvestable to false. But when the player gets within a certain distance to that plant that's in that stage, we want it to do this once while true. So if the player's within 16 and it's in that, and in this case, yeah, 16 is fine. We want to destroy. So first we want to create, and now we don't have the mob onion yet, so we're going to create a new mob. So we're going to say mob onion. We're going to add a new animation, and we're going to just say the placeholder. So we just have our standard onion right now. So when we're in the feral stage and we get close to this, we want to create an object. We're going to create name an object to create. We're going to create create an object. You're just going to click on this. Create object. Oops. Mob onion at the position of plants point X center, and do that the same thing with Y. Plants point center Y. We forgot the in brackets. And oh, okay. In this case, we actually just want plant Y or X for this value, X, and plant Y, because we don't have any special boundary set for our thing. So we're going to create it one time, and then we are going to destroy the plant. So now when we get a feral plant and we get too close to it, and that didn't, oh, there it goes. So and we're greater than our max growth. There we go. So good, good, good. Boom. Now we got an onion. Now the onion, okay, we can now start adding in states for our onion, have him look for the player and things like that. Now I believe we can set this, and because, yeah, that doesn't make sense, that last one. I think it has to do with the harvestable stage thing that I just changed. So we don't have an 8 and we don't have a 10 yet, so we'll work on that later. Okay, and then when the plant is targeted and left click or the action key is pressed, we want to hit it and then shake it. So harvest. So in the harvest script, if the harvest stage is true and it is targeted, and the keyboard, we got to do a text expression. So if the keyboard action key is pressed, if the wait, something's not quite right. We're gonna go into the player's controller real quick into idle and run. if the global string variable keyboard, there we go. If the global string variable keyboard action. And then we're going to go back to, because I don't think I actually named it action, but that would be a far smarter. It's harvest. So we're going to do action. So the action button, in this case in our game, is going to be E now. So action. If it is, it's this. If all these conditions are true, then we're going to go into our onion. Onion. Actually, we're going to say plant. Well, no, we have to add it to the onion. So growable onion. So in our variable here, we also need hits. And we're going to call it a number 3. So if the keyboard is pressed, then trigger this once. The plants let's see, the plant variable text number variable, and we're going to take hits. If the hits variable, we're going to subtract one hit. So for each time it's pressed, hit it. So if the variable, change the variable of plants, subtract 1. And then for each instant of plant that, and then when we're going to actually shake, I think I have to add the shake element. So we're going to add that to the plant. We're going to go to game scene here, behaviors, add shake object, position, angle, and scale. That could be fun. So we're going to then shake the plant. Shake object. We're going to shake it for 1 second. Amplitude of 2 pixels, 2 pixels, 2, 5, 5. I don't, 1? I don't know. Let's take a look at this. So if we have a plant and it's harvestable and I go okay, let's try that again. And I click left click, and left click. Oh, it's E. There we go. Okay. We're gonna do random, right? So we are hitting it, but we want it to be a little bit more random. So, and a little bit more chaotic when we hit it. So when we hit the action keyboard, we were going to shake the object for half a second, and we want to shake the position for 5 and an angle amplitude of 5 and wait 0.08 between shakes. So it's just got a default amount, so we can actually just set the default. We'll just there we go. Now it's there. So here we go again. E. Whoa, E. That's pretty crazy. We probably don't need to go as far, so let's do 3 on the X and Y axis, and we'll do that again. So E. That looks good to me. Oh, we want to do that for each plant that is harvestable and is targeted, and the action key is pressed. Shake the object and minus hit, I think is what I need to do. Oop. Okay, but now let's find out. Because we want to do it for each instance, right? We don't want it to actually be... There we go. Oh, well, I guess we don't know now. Let's, oop. Okay. Okay, maybe it's not for each. Maybe it's literally just by itself. I don't... Oh, well, that's weird. So every time I press it, but is targeted should only be if, for each instance of plant, if the Boolean value of that plant, right, is true. If it's at the harvestable stage. And we're in 16 pixels of it, set its Boolean to true. Wait a minute. First of all, take that shit out. My bad. Okay. No. Okay, that's wild. If we're targeting is true and we're below that, do this. Right? We don't need this at all. That's redundant. Why is that in there? We're getting tired. Okay. Okay, it's because it's still marked as targeted. So basically, when we're no longer with below 16 pixels and the creature is set to true, then we set the is targeted to false. Okay, so now we should have independently. Yeah. Okay. Beautiful. Okay. Now, in the harvest section, we need a I want to see if I can, that'll still work separately, because I would like to keep those organized that way. beep, 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 beep. All right, cool. So now what I want to do is in the harvesting script, let's create a new one for each instant of this plant. For each plant that whenever the hits variable is equal to less than or equal to 0, they die. So we want to destroy. We want the plant to destroy. So now, if we do this, I should be able to bonk, 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 bonk. Interesting. Oh, we can shoot the. That's handy. Okay. Bonk, bonk, bonk. Shake it. Change the variable, and only trigger that once. Is less than or equal to 0. Delete the plant. So E is pressed. Change the variable of hits on the plant to -1, and the onion, we set its hits to 3, so that shouldn't be a problem. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. One, 2, 3. One, 2. I was able to hit both of those only because I think I was like inside of them both, which is kind of nice. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. There's just a slight, I think it's just a delta sort of issue. So it's like out of sync with the server, or like the refresh rate. And honestly, what we can do is we can add a weight of 0.5. So as it's shaking, wait, and then add the subtract. So I believe even if I 1, 2, 3, 1, yeah. That's interesting because sometimes it's only doing 2. Is pressed. I guess we could do when it's released. Maybe we do need to actually put it all in here. You know what we can do? I think we can kind of start like, so for each plant, and then we can do for each plant that is in this stage, do this. and then do this. And now we're already in that, for each instance of the plant, I believe. Oop, 1, 2, like that. So next, what we want to do is create a UI. We'll do Growables UI, and then inside of the inside of Growables we have onion, and then we will have a Growable UI, and this is and we can actually rename this to pickups. In the Growable pickups, we want to add a new entity and call this onion. Onion pickup, and add a new animation, and we'll do the icon for the UI. And this will allow us quite a bit of flexibility here to create. So here, when we're at 0 and the plant deletes, first we're actually going to create an object, and we want to create the onion pickup at the center of the we'll do create in the sorry for cracking my knuckles and then just like leaving it there. So basically we can create an object, and we're going to put that object in the plant's X range, and we're going to do X, and then we're going to do plus random in range -5 to 5, and we're going to do the same thing with we don't want to float, we want random in range for the Y as well. And then we'll delete the plant, and when we pick up the UI for the onion, right, we are going to give the onion a voids, and this we will keep for our pickupables, but we'll create a voids movement void, and we'll do 0, 0. We'll do a separation weight of 2. We're not going to rotate it. The movement doesn't need to be too far here. I'm not sure what the site is on that, but when the hits equals 0, if the object, if it is an onion, and it was a animation by number, and the number is equal to harvestable, plants harvestable, if it is greater than or equal to, while I'm doing that animation. Actually, no, it needs to just be unharvestable. If it is an onion and it is equal to the harvestable state, and it can be harvested, then create an object and delete the plant. And that way, if it's not, then we have a plant that's left over. Oh, okay. I'm beating up is less than or equal to, do this. And then once it deletes, well, you, what? Okay, I want, ugh, all right. Whoa, okay, those onions are on a different plane of existence. And that could also be happening with our, let's make sure our plants, and we can actually add our mob to that as well. So the Z order of the, or rather, then we can add plant, no, we don't want to do that. If it is a enemy, and we'll create a new group called enemy, and in that we'll add the mob onion. So if it is an enemy, this is driving me nuts. Why is it not working? If it is less than or equal to 0, and the number of the animation for the onion is, and the harvest stage of the plant is true, we will, I did that backwards now that I'm realizing it. Where you put the stuff matters. Whoa. Okay. Well, that drone is colliding with the Boyd's movement of my drone, which I find hilarious. So if it's this, okay, we can, let's try this again. So we got to do this. You got to make sure our things are in the right order here. And if, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, kill you. I'll kill you. I'll kill you. If it is targeted, it's targeted, and its health reaches 0, and the number of the animation is not is less than or equal to is equal to or greater than harvestable. So if it's greater than 6, 6, 7, 8, 9, but is less than or equal to max growth, and it's an onion, it could break. So it's acting like maybe my onions aren't taking damage, but that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. And also that onion is a lie. This target is true. It reads 0 HP for now. Okay, if the dam, if it's an onion, okay, we're just gonna do onion for now. If the onion is at 0, then create an onion for each instance of onion, right? So now we're checking to see if it's an onion, and you are 1, 2. I don't know where he's going or why he's doing that. That's so funny. He's like corralling the onion. Because it has Boyd's movement probably. So we're probably gonna need to change our drone now. Flump flump. It's okay. We can actually turn off the drone and enable, for now we can just make it so that there isn't a drone, even though there's like, you know, a laser, so we can test. Wait, does the drone have to be visible for us to? That's goofy. The drone needs to be visible? Like, do we need to actually have? If that's the case, then I'm just gonna go to the drone and we're gonna get rid of Boyd's, I think. Maybe separation weight 0. Well, that's unexpected. For now, let's delete the Boyd's movement because we want our onions to run from us from now. So if the onion is created, we now need to look at pickups. So we need to create a new pickup. I'm gonna call this pickups. So for each instance of the onion pickup that's created, create an object there. So what we're gonna do is select a random number. We're gonna make a new variable called random, and so we can do it in the scene. So if the scene variable random equals a certain amount, it'll drop different amounts. But for now, for each instance of onion pickup, we want want to set if the player is within is distance to the object. If the player is in a distance to the onion, and we'll say if it's a distance of 20 for the sake of this, or maybe we'll do 12. Oh my goodness, for a distance of 12, then we want the onion to move toward the player at a decision weight of 10. And let's say it's at a distance of 20, and if the onion if it's below 20 but not below 4, or let's say 5, do this. If the distance is below 20, the distance is below 5, then we want to delete the onion pickup, destroy it. Onion pickup, destroy, delete, save, press go. There we go. And now we have a and so when we create the onion, we want to put it on a new layer, and we're going to call it the pickup layer. And so let's take the base layer, let's make a new layer. We're going to call it pickup. And on the pickup layer, we want to add not a lighting effect. We want to add, let's get rid of this. I don't even know why this is here. Let's get rid of this, delete. We want to add a new 2D effect. Outline, we want it to be white, and we want to do a thickness of 2. And so at the beginning of our game, or in the camera settings now, we want to make sure that we add the zoom layer to pickup as well. Cool. So, and we want to create the pickup onion on the pickup layer. Now it should have a white border, if I can do it without breaking okay, maybe something is happening here. Oh, well, it might be creating them, but it also could be at a different Z level. So again, we need to go into here, go into our enemy, and in this case, we want a pickup to be 2 under the player. So we'll just real quick do this. Boom, boom, boom. Why did this happen? Time. Boop. Boop. What did I mess up here? Create when the onion hits create the onion. Can we, did I make it so we can't see the layer? What happened? No. Pick up. Is something happening that I'm not realizing? Because I did a zoom? Yeah, that might be making it really tiny, actually, now I'm thinking about it. In our camera. Because it doesn't need to be zoomed in. Because we're already zoomed in. Oh, look. No, it does. It's all the way up there. We put another onion up there. Well, we're seeing the onions grow on the minimap. So we did want that. Okay, well, so they are spawning. Zoom in on 3 on the pickup layer. Okay. Does the pickup layer gotta go under the base layer? Not quite understanding what's happening here. No. Where is my onion? So why can I not see the onion? It's seeing it because I can't shoot it. Or no, it's not. Okay. So maybe in my plant manager, I'm messing this up. Maybe it just needs to be, let's say, 0. Or we'll do actually the player +1. So it's like above the player. Always. And it's not showing up. So what? You little devil. They have Boyd's movement. Where are those things going? So they're always going to be at the top of my screen. So, because it's basically, I mean, they are UI, right? Like that's what I'm making effectively is a UI piece. So if I kill this guy, well, I picked them both up. I saw them disappear. Bonk, bonk, bonk. So this onion is on the pickup layer, but I can't see it. But if I choose to spawn it on the base layer, then what? Okay. And then I picked it up. Boop. Well, guys, I think actually that's where we're going to stop today. Thank you so much. Oh, squeaky chair. Thank you so much for joining me and watching my progress here. We didn't get to the inventory system, but I hope to do that tomorrow. And I will adjust the, I realized that in the process of demoing this, the onions, the mob onion will only spawn during one of the triggers. So what we need to do is set this to always. So if that was not what I wanted. What? Oh yeah, no, that's it. So at any point in the growth stage, if that plant if we get too close to it, it'll spawn now. And then we can hit these plants and get our seeds. So in the next episode, we should be able to get the inventory system rolling and being able to collect those and start some sort of tally, and hopefully, you know, checking if we have inventory and if we have a seed, then plant that on our plot, and then we can harvest it. All right. Thank you guys so much for stopping in, and I hope to see you around next time. Until next time, ciao.